What if I told you that the most brutal and skilled fighters in human history never got to prove they were the best? What if the warriors who fought lions with bare hands suddenly stepped into the UFC octagon in 2025 with modern training, nutrition, and no rules about fighting to the death? Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to witness the most insane combat sports revolution ever imagined. We're talking about Roman gladiators, the original mixed martial artists who mastered every fighting discipline 2,000 years before UFC existed. These weren't just entertainers, they were killing machines, trained in every weapon, every fighting style, and every psychological warfare technique known to mankind. And they did it all while 50,000 screaming fans watched their every move. If you're ready to discover how ancient Rome's deadliest warriors would absolutely dominate modern combat sports and probably break every UFC record in history, smash that subscribe button and hit the bell, because this video will change how you think about fighting, competition, and what it means to be a true warrior forever. Before we throw gladiators into the UFC octagon, we need to destroy every Hollywood myth you've ever heard about these warriors. Forget everything you think you know from movies. Myth number 1, gladiators always fought to the death. Wrong. Historical records show that only 10 to 15% of gladiator fights ended in death. These were expensive, highly trained athletes. Killing them every fight would be like UFC killing their champions after every match. Myth number 2, gladiators were just slaves. Partially wrong. While some were slaves, many were volunteers, free men who chose this life for fame, money, and glory. Sound familiar? That's exactly why fighters join UFC today. Here's what Hollywood won't tell you about gladiators. Training duration, 3 to 5 years minimum before first major fight. Success rate, top gladiators had 90+% win rates over decades. Physical condition, archaeological evidence shows they were built like modern heavyweight champions. Diet, scientifically optimized nutrition for maximum muscle mass and recovery. Medical care, advanced sports medicine including surgery and rehabilitation. The original MMA system. But here's the mind-blowing part. Gladiators weren't specialists. They were the original mixed martial artists. Striking, boxing, kicks, knee strikes, elbow techniques, grappling, wrestling, ground fighting, submission holds, weapons mastery, swords, spears, nets, shields, daggers, psychological warfare, crowd manipulation, intimidation tactics, tactical intelligence, reading opponents, adapting mid-fight. They mastered everything because their lives literally depended on it. Modern UFC fighters specialize in 2 to 3 disciplines. Gladiators mastered 10+.
Now, imagine taking these ancient killing machines and giving them access to 2025 sports science, nutrition, and training methods. The results would be absolutely terrifying. Modern nutrition meets ancient discipline. Historical analysis shows gladiators ate a specific diet called Gladiator barley, a scientifically balanced combination of high protein for muscle building, complex carbs for sustained energy, calcium-rich foods for bone density, anti-inflammatory ingredients for recovery. But they were missing modern supplements, precise macronutrient timing, and advanced recovery protocols. Give a gladiator access to creatine and performance supplements, precision meal timing, advanced hydration strategies, recovery protocols, ice baths, compression therapy, massage. The result? Warriors who were already physically superior becoming superhuman. Training methodology evolution. Gladiator training was already more advanced than most modern gyms. Periodization? Different training phases for different opponents. Sparring partners. Training against multiple fighting styles daily. Mental conditioning. Meditation and psychological preparation. Injury prevention. Specific exercises to avoid common combat injuries. Add modern sports science, biomechanics analysis, perfect technique optimization using video analysis, heart rate monitoring, precise cardio and recovery tracking, sleep science, optimized rest for maximum recovery, injury prevention, advanced physical therapy and injury prediction. The Super Gladiator result? We're talking about creating fighters who combine ancient mental toughness that accepted death as possible, 2,000+ years of proven fighting techniques, modern scientific training methods, unlimited nutritional optimization, advanced injury prevention. These wouldn't just be better fighters, they'd be evolution of human combat performance.
Here's where things get really exciting. Roman gladiators were classified into specific fighting types, each with unique advantages. Let's match them against modern UFC divisions and see who would dominate. Heavyweight division, 265 pounds. Murmillo versus modern heavyweights. Equipment, large rectangular shield, gladius sword, helmet with visor. Modern equivalent, tank-style fighters like Francis Ngannou. Advantage, unbreakable defense, devastating counterattacks. UFC prediction, champion. Their defensive mastery would frustrate modern power punchers. Light heavyweight division, 205 pounds. Thracian versus modern 205ers. Equipment, small round shield, curved sword, distinctive helmet. Style, aggressive, fast-paced, high-volume attacks. Modern parallel, John Jones's versatility with more aggression. UFC prediction, dominant, perfect blend of offense and defense. Middleweight division, 185 pounds. Hoplomachus versus modern middleweights. Equipment, spear, small shield, gladius backup. Style, long-range control, strategic fighting. Modern parallel, Israel Adesanya's distance management. UFC prediction, revolutionary. Spear technique would create new meta. Welterweight division, 170 pounds. Secutor versus modern welterweights. Equipment, large shield, gladius, and smooth helmet for grappling defense. Style, pressure fighting, forward movement, wear-down tactics. Modern parallel, Kamaru Usman's pressure with better defense. UFC prediction, unstoppable. Cardio and pressure would break modern fighters. Lightweight division, 155 pounds. Retiarius versus modern lightweights. Equipment, a net, trident, dagger, minimal armor. Style, mobility, distance control, unorthodox attacks. Modern parallel, like if Tony Ferguson had better strategy. UFC prediction, game changer. Net techniques would revolutionize grappling. The Gladiator advantage. What makes gladiators superior to modern fighters? Weapon mastery. Develops hand-eye coordination modern fighters can't match. Life or death mentality. Mental toughness that accepts ultimate consequences. Crowd pressure. 50,000 screaming fans versus UFC's 20,000. They're used to more pressure. Adaptability. Fought different styles weekly versus modern fighters' predictable camps. Physical conditioning. Built for 30+ minute battles, not 25-minute fights.
Here's where gladiators would destroy modern UFC fighters, the mental game. These warriors were master psychologists who understood crowd manipulation, intimidation, and mental warfare at levels modern fighters can't imagine. The Colosseum effect. Imagine fighting in front of 50,000 people who are literally betting on whether you'll live or die. Modern UFC fighters get nervous about decisions. Gladiators performed knowing death was possible. Gladiators were entertainers first, fighters second. They understood crowd energy management, how to use audience emotion as fuel, theatrical combat, making fights exciting while staying tactical, momentum shifting, turning crowd energy to break opponents' will. Victory celebrations, maximizing psychological impact of wins. Intimidation tactics 2.0. Modern UFC fighters trash talk on social media. Gladiators mastered intimidation through physical presence, armor and weapons creating psychological impact. Ritual warfare, pre-fight ceremonies designed to break opponents' confidence. Death stare mastery, eye contact that communicated a willingness to kill. Calculated brutality, strategic violence to demoralize. The modern psychological advantage. But give gladiators access to modern sports psychology, visualization techniques, mental rehearsal of victory scenarios, breathing control, advanced meditation and focus methods, stress inoculation, controlled exposure to high-pressure situations, opponent analysis, video study and strategic preparation. Mental warfare evolution. The combination would create unbreakable confidence backed by life-or-death experience, crowd mastery, ability to perform under ultimate pressure, psychological manipulation, reading and exploiting opponent weaknesses, strategic patience, waiting for perfect moments while maintaining intensity. UFC impact. Modern fighters would face opponents who show zero fear of physical harm, use crowd energy as a psychological weapon, employ intimidation tactics they've never encountered, and remain calm in chaos that would break modern warriors. The result? A complete revolution in what it means to be mentally tough in combat sports.
Here's the million-dollar question. How do you take warriors trained to fight to the death and make them safe for modern competition? The answer would revolutionize UFC rules forever. The Gladiator Rule Set 2025. Equipment modifications. Foam weapons with impact sensors. Smart armor that registers killing blows automatically. Net techniques, legal but with breakaway safety nets. Shield work allowed with lightweight, padded shields. Scoring revolution. Traditional MMA scoring is broken. Gladiator-inspired scoring would include weapon control, points for disarming or superior weapon work, crowd engagement, bonus points for entertaining fighting, tactical superiority, rewarding strategic brilliance over just damage, finishing instinct, extra points for submission attempts and knockdown recoveries, fight duration changes, rounds, 3 rounds of 10 minutes, overtime, sudden death rounds with weapons allowed, rest periods, 2 minutes between rounds, safety innovations inspired by gladiators, medical advances. Roman gladiators had advanced medical care, modern adaptations, real-time biometric monitoring during fights, instant injury assessment using AI analysis, advanced recovery protocols between training sessions, predictive injury prevention using historical gladiator data, training safety, VR combat training, practice deadly techniques safely, AI sparring partners, reduce training injuries, biomechanics optimization, perfect technique to prevent injury, recovery technology, ancient methods meet modern science, the entertainment revolution. Gladiators understood that fighting is entertainment. UFC 2025 with gladiator influence, interactive crowd voting, audience influences certain fight decisions, gladiator ceremonies, epic entrances and victory celebrations, storyline integration, ongoing narratives between fighters, multiple fighting styles, different rule sets for different gladiator types, global impact. This wouldn't just change UFC, it would create entirely new sports. Team gladiator combat, multiple fighters with different weapon specialties, historical combat sports, different eras competing against each other, weapon-based MMA, expanding beyond hand-to-hand combat, psychological combat sports, mental warfare as a scored component,
The biggest change wouldn't be in the octagon. It would be how combat sports transform entertainment, business, and global culture forever. The business empire. Massive revenue explosion. Roman gladiator games generated massive wealth for the empire. Modern gladiator UFC would 10x current PPV numbers. Historical curiosity plus ultimate fighting equals unprecedented viewership. Global appeal. Every country wants to see their historical warriors compete. Merchandising revolution. Armor, weapons, and gladiator gear become fashion. Theme park integration. Live gladiator experiences worldwide. Sponsorship transformation. Historical brands, museums, and educational institutions as major sponsors. Technology companies, AR/VR companies showcasing combat innovations. Fitness industry, gladiator training programs worldwide. Weapon-based fitness, sword and shield training for regular people. Historical reenactment sports, amateur leagues for different time periods. Combat conditioning, ancient training methods for modern fitness. Global tournament structure, continental championships, European gladiators versus Asian warriors versus American fighters. Historical divisions, Roman versus Greek versus Egyptian versus Viking combat styles. Ultimate historical combat, different eras competing in grand tournaments. Cultural exchange programs, fighters training in historical combat methods worldwide. The philosophical impact, redefining competition. Gladiators would force us to reconsider what competition means. Entertainment value, is exciting fighting more important than just winning? Historical respect, how do we honor combat traditions while ensuring safety? Cultural understanding, combat sports as a way to understand different civilizations. Human potential. What can we learn from warrior cultures about pushing limits? Long-term societal effects. Physical fitness revival. Entire generation inspired by gladiator conditioning. Historical education. Combat sports making ancient history relevant. Cultural appreciation. Understanding different fighting traditions builds respect. Mental toughness. Gladiator mindset influencing broader society.
As we imagine Roman gladiators stepping into the UFC octagon in 2025, we realize we're not just talking about better fighters, we're talking about a complete revolution in human competition. These weren't just ancient entertainers, they were the ultimate athletes, psychologists, entertainers, and warriors combined into one. They mastered everything modern combat sports are still trying to figure out. The gladiators understood something we've forgotten. Fighting isn't just about winning, it's about proving what's possible when humans push beyond their limits with honor, skill, and unbreakable mental toughness. So here's my question for you. What would your fighting style be if you trained like a gladiator? What mental barriers could you break if you approached challenges with their mindset? The arena awaits. The question is, are you ready to fight like history's greatest warriors? If this video pumped you up and made you want to train like an ancient warrior, smash that subscribe button and let me know in the comments. Which gladiator type would dominate UFC the most? Remember, the strongest steel is forged in the hottest fire. Train like a gladiator, think like a champion.